Hello and welcome again to one of the last sessions of this year's summit. I hope you had a wonderful day. Next up is Ecaterina. You had another presentation already, but there's so much knowledge in you that you have another one for us, which we are very grateful for. So hi Ecaterina, how are you doing?
Hi, Michael. Hello, everybody. I'm doing pretty fine. I'm feeling energized after so many sessions today with so many insights. I really feel honored to being here twice, but indeed.
Yeah, I think it was actually a really knowledge-packed day, with all those different tracks that we had this year. So we are very, very grateful that you share some more knowledge in another presentation with us. So let me just shortly introduce you in case of some people haven't watched the other presentation. So you're from Romania, and what you're presenting today is Ctrl Alt and Adapt, Debugging Change Resistance in QA with PQ Strategies. And you are a business consultant, coach, and trainer with over 16 years of experience in software development, testing, and leadership, who combines her passion for technology with insights from psychology and coaching to build stronger, more collaborative teams. So I'm really looking forward to your presentation, and I can't wait. And I don't want the people to wait any longer, so I will just have two more comments. First of all, if you have questions, there is a comment section wherever you watch this presentation. There is a comment section, and you can share your comments with us. You can ask questions, and at the end we will have some time to answer those questions. And the second one is, I'm sure you have heard that quite a lot today, but there is the option to vote for your favorite speaker. So I hope that you vote for Ecaterina and that you vote for this presentation. You will see the link to this voting at the end in the comment section. So please do that. And now I think that's enough from my side. The stage is yours. Have a great presentation and let's go.
Thank you, Michael. Stay tuned because the information is indeed for everyone. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you. Hello again, and thank you for being here. Short intro about myself. I am a business consultant. I have a development, QA, and marketing background, currently activating as a project and product manager. I'm an author, career, and life coach. My work being informed through the Compassionate Inquiry by Gabor Mate Professional Course for Trauma, and also influenced by Positive Intelligence Program by Shrizat Shami. Without further ado, I would like to get into today's subject to go into my second area of expertise, which is the human side of technology. So today, this talk is for the human in the chair, not just the job title. And because behind every role, there's a human, I want to invite you to take a breath together, like really inhale and exhale together. Ready? Thank you for that. I hope you've managed to relax a bit and to connect with your human part, not only with the role. No matter if you are a student, a freshman, a developer, or a tester, a technical or a management role, let's have a look at the human inside each of us. We all know the classic Ctrl Alt Delete moment. Sometimes it brings relief, a way to reset when everything's frozen, a clean slate. Other times it's frustrating because you didn't want to stop. You were in the middle of something important and everything just locked up. That's what change often feels like in QA. Part reset, part interruptions. And we want things to improve, but we're also tired of crashing mid-process. Today, we're going to look at how positive intelligence gives us a mental Ctrl Alt Adapt way to reset without breaking and to lead change without burning out. Think of it this way. Control would be taking control of your mind. Alt would be choose a different response, and delete would be let go to self-sabotage and activate your adaptation powers, thus adapt. Some of you might already be skeptical, and I was too, so just bear with me for a second. Let me start with a moment that might feel familiar. You've just wrapped up a sprint retrospective. It went well, sort of. You suggested a small improvement to the testing flow. It was simple, realistic, and honestly overdue. You explained it clearly, showed the benefits, tied it into metrics and recent bugs. And then silence. Or worse, polite nods and a few sounds good responses, followed by absolutely nothing changing. It's not that people disagreed. It's just that the energy faded, and you're left thinking, did I say it wrong? Was it bad timing? Are people just tired? Well, actually, the proper answer is welcome to everyday world of change resistance. It's not always loud. It doesn't always come with pushbacks or strong opinions. Sometimes it's just a slow, quiet drift back to how things were. If you've been in QA long enough, you've probably seen that pattern with tools, processes, the entire ways of working. Even when the change is clearly helpful, clearly needed, it often doesn't stick. And sometimes, let's be real, that resistance isn't coming from others. It's coming from us some of the days. You hear a new idea and your first thought is, it's not that's promising. It's that's risky. A new test framework, too much to learn. A process change, we don't have time right now. A shift in responsibilities, that's not my scope. These thoughts, when they come to you, don't mean you're negative or lazy. They mean you're human. Change requires energy. It asks us to step out of what's familiar, and in fast-paced IT environments, we don't always have the bandwidth for that. In QA, this is especially true. We carry a lot. Our work depends on repeatability, structure, consistency. We deal in patterns, processes, and known variables because that's how we protect quality. But the same instincts that help us catch bugs can also make us resistant to the unknown. Now, resistant isn't entirely bad. It's a signal, one that says, I don't feel safe yet, or I don't have the capacity right now. Now, looking at this, you might be thinking, this is too soft for testing teams, or my team's way too busy for this. And that's valid. And this moment right here, noticing this voice of yours, is actually the Alt key that I'm mentioning. It's the invitation to choose a different reaction. And what if small daily shifts could actually free up your mental space for better decisions? That's what I want to show you today. And that's where positive intelligence comes in. Let's look closely at resistance in QA. What it really looks like in a day-to-day work. Because it's easy to think of resistance as something obvious, someone speaking up against a decision or pushing back hard in a meeting. But most of the time, resistance in QA is quiet. It's that low hum of inertia. It's that team that agrees in principle but changes nothing in practice. It's that new testing tool that got added to the backlog 3 weeks ago and hasn't moved since. Or maybe it's internal. The moment where you read about a new framework and feel that instant, oh, not again one, inside. Or the moment when someone says, let's change how we handle regression, and your brain fast forwards to all the bugs that might slip through the cracks. These reactions make sense. They're not irrational. In fact, they're highly functional and often deeply tied to our roles in QA. Just think about it. As testers, analysts, engineers, we are trained to spot problems. We look for what's broken, inconsistent, unclear. We must do that. It's part of how we ensure quality. But here's the paradox. The very mindset that helps us protect stability can also make us instinctively resist change. Just think of the last time you felt blocked at work. What was your first thought? And this isn't just about individual mindset, it's cultural. QA teams often carry unspoken burdens. Being the voice of caution would be one. Feeling responsible for preventing failure, it's a hard one. Navigating power dynamics with developers, product, and leadership. So when a change is introduced, whether it's a tool, a timeline, or even a new way of writing test cases, we evaluate it not just logically, but emotionally. Is it safe? Is it realistic? Will I be supported if it breaks? And sometimes we don't feel safe. We don't feel seen. We don't feel part of the decision. That's where resistance actually starts to build. Not because we're negative, but because we care. And here's where positive intelligence gives us a breakthrough. In PQ, we talk about saboteurs. Saboteurs are mental habits or patterns that sabotage our performance and well-being. They show up under pressure and they pretend to be helpful, but they're often rooted in fear, perfectionism, control, or avoidance. These saboteurs often sound reasonable, but they are coming from fear, not clarity. For example, a saboteur would be the controller. The controller might push for full control over the test process, resisting any new collaboration. Another saboteur would be the stickler, who may insist in rigid structure, rejecting creative approaches. Another saboteur is the hypervigilant. He sees every change as a risk, not a possibility. Sounds familiar? These saboteurs are voices live inside many of us and often inside our teams. But here's the shift. PQ isn't about silencing those voices. It's about recognizing them and choosing them not to let them lead. So, what exactly is positive intelligence or PQ? And why are we even talking about this in the context of software quality? Well, positive intelligence or PQ is a framework developed by Sridhar Chamin, a Stanford lecturer and executive coach. He combined research from neuroscience, cognitive psychology, performance science, and coaching to explore one quick key question. Why do smart people so often get in their own way? PQ helps us see the hidden mental patterns that sabotage our performance and well-being, and teaches us how to shift toward a wiser, calmer, more effective mindset. He calls the SAGE by creating new mental patterns. It's not about pretending things are fine, and it's about building the inner strength to respond better, especially when things are not. Let's start a simple analogy. If IQ is your raw intelligence and EQ is your emotional intelligence, then PQ is your mental fitness. It's your ability to respond to challenges in a way that's clear, calm, and constructive. Mental fitness doesn't mean everything is easy, as it doesn't mean in any kind of fitness. It means that when things are hard, which in QA, let's be honest, it's often, you can respond from a centered place instead of being hijacked by stress or resistance. Maybe write in the chat or raise your hand virtually if you've heard your inner judge ever say, you should have done more. Everyone has a judge. The inner critic that says you're not doing enough or they are doing it wrong. But we also have accomplice saboteurs, And QA professionals know these all too well. The stickler who wants structure, order, control, even when flexibility might help. The hyperachiever ties self-worth to results, even pushing through burnout. The controller tries to force alignment instead of building buy-in. The avoider dodges hard conversations, especially when you know change will be unpopular. Now imagine the whole team acting from those mindsets. Change initiatives stall, feedback loops shut down. The culture becomes reactive instead of responsive. PQ helps us interrupt that cycle. It teaches us how to recognize those voices and shift from saboteur mode to what we call the sage. The sage isn't passive, it's not soft. It's focused, clear, curious, purpose driven. The sage asks questions like, what's the gift in this situation? What can I learn from this resistance? How can I respond from clarity rather than fear? When you operate from the sage, you're still making tough calls. You're still advocating for quality, but you're doing it without triggering other people's saboteurs or your own. And here's the key insight for QA teams. Most resistance we face isn't about the task, it's about tone. How we show up matters. When we speak from urgency, judgment, or anxiety, others feel it and react accordingly. Our saboteurs are activating their saboteurs. But when we lead with change from a sage state, grounded, clear, curious, we shift the room. We stop pushing and start inviting. That's what PQ offers us. Language to name what's going on internally, tools to shift into a better mindset, and the confidence to lead change in a way that others want to follow, not through pressure, not through perfectionism, but through presence. Let's talk about one of the most common and most frustrating source of resistance, the dynamic between QA and development. Well, I would say again, please write in the chat if you've ever reported a bug only to hear that's not really a bug, it's expected behavior, or asked for better testability and been told there's no time, we need to move fast, or try to bring up a quality concern and it got dismissed as not a priority right now. The tension is real, and it's not just technical, it's relational. QA and developers often carry very different mental models. Developers are under pressure to build fast, QA is under pressure to protect quality. These goals should align, but the pace, the language, and the values can create friction. Here's where PQ helps us shift our lens, because most of what we experience as developer resistance isn't really about us. It's about their saboteurs being triggered. The developer might feel judged, micromanaged, or not trusted. They may feel exposed or blamed when bugs are found, even if we're not intending that, or they might just be burned out. Too many changes, too little time. PQ teaches us when we show up from a saboteur mindset, we often activate the saboteur in others. For example, if we come in to the discussion with urgency or judgment, it may trigger their avoider or controller. If we act from our stickler, they may respond with sarcasm or shut down. And that doesn't help anyone. So, how do we shift it? PQ gives us a few options, and none of them require a miracle. The first step is to notice your own state. Before giving feedback or asking for a change, pause. Ask, Am I reacting for pressure or presence? Am I trying to control the conversation or connect through it? This shift might sound small, but it's powerful. When you approach a developer with curiosity instead of correction, the dynamic shifts. When you acknowledge their constraints before introduction your needs, trust starts to build. And when you create a space for shared ownership of quality rather than acting as gatekeeper, they start to lean in. This isn't about backing down. It's about showing up differently from your sage. In practice, this might look like, I noticed this flow breaks in this scenario. Any thoughts on how we could catch that earlier together? Or I know the time is right and the time is tight. Would adding a small pre-check help reduce late-stage fixes? You're still advocating, you're still protecting quality, but you're also inviting collaboration, not creating opposition. And over time, these micro shifts create micro change. From QA versus developers to QA and developers. Because at the end of the day, we're both working towards the same goal: reliable, maintainable, meaningful software. PQ helps us remember that and lead from that shared purpose. Let's make this concrete. What can you actually do in the middle of a sprint? With 17 tabs open, 3 bugs to retest, and your lead pinging you for just one more check. How do you use positive intelligence practically in a real-world QA pressure? When I first heard about PQ, I thought, great, another feel-good model for people who meditate in the morning. I was wrong. You don't need to meditate for 1 hour or journal your feelings in pastel fonts. PQ is designed for small, quick, repeatable shifts even in chaos. Let me walk you through one tool that I call the PQ reset loop. It's as simple as this: stop, shift, signal. Stop means notice the tension inside you. Notice the saboteur reaction. Shift means using a 10-second sensory reset to come back to center. Signal means choosing a response from your sage, one that invites, not pushes. Let me walk you through. When at the first step you catch your saboteurs early, you start building awareness. The moment you feel resistance, maybe you're annoyed, tired, dismissive, ask yourself, who's talking right now? Is it the judge telling me this is pointless? Is it the stickler insisting they're not following process? Is it the avoider whispering, just let it go, it's not worth the hassle? Naming the saboteur already reduces its power. You uncover it. It shifts you out of autopilot because once you see the pattern, you don't have to act on it. Second step is to do a PQ rep. A PQ rep is like a mental micro reset. One example of a PQ rep would be taking 2 fingers, rubbing them together slowly, ideally with your eye closed if possible, and focus on the texture of your skin, what one finger feels over the other. Another example is listening to a background sound without naming it, without categorizing it, just listening to a background sound. Take then one conscious breath and notice the inhale, then the exhale. It sounds simple, I know, and even silly, but neurologically, this pulls out of the stress center of your brain and back into the present moment. And in that moment, you gain choice. You're no longer just reacting, you are responding. The third step would be, once you've reset, to engage your sage. And The 5 sage powers in PQ are empathize, explore, innovate, navigate, and activate. We don't have to use all of them at once. We can start with one, for example, explore. And each of them has several questions that we can ask. For example, with explore, we can ask ourselves, what's the opportunity here? What's the learning in this friction? What's one creative option I haven't considered? When you ask better questions, you unlock better responses. And over time, your brain starts to default to this and not to the saboteurs. That's the essence of PQ. Not just knowing what to do, but training your brain to actually do it in real time. These micro practices take less than a minute, but they can shift the tone of an entire review. They can keep a difficult conversation from becoming defensive. They can help you hold your ground without losing your center. The QA world doesn't always slow down, but with PQ you can, and that changes everything. This is your Ctrl Alt Adapt moment. So we've covered a lot today. We've looked at why change feels so heavy in QA. We've talked about resistance in others and in ourselves. We've explored what positive intelligence is, how saboteurs show up, and how the sage helps us shift. And we've seen how just a few seconds of presence can change the entire way we respond to pressure. So now what? What do you do with this in the real world? Because I know what Monday looks like. You'll go back to your backlog, your test cases, your dashboards. You'll have another call where someone resists feedback. Another comment like, we'll look at that later. Another change that no one asked for. And that's exactly where you start. You start noticing the voice in your head, that tiny internal flinch, that, oh, not again moment. And instead of pushing through it or shutting it down, you pause. You do a PQ rep. You shift from your judge or stickler to your sage, and you ask, what's really going on here? What can I learn? What's one small way I can respond differently today? That's the moment things change, not because everyone else magically cooperates, but because you're not caught in the loop anymore. Mental fitness isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming conscious. It's about showing up to the same situation with new tools so you can respond from strength instead of strain. In QA, we need that strength, not just to find bugs, but to keep advocating when it's tiring, to stay clear when others react, to lead change without having to force it. So, if there's one thing I hope you take from this session, it's this. You don't have to push harder. You can pivot smarter. PQ gives you that pivot, and the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Over time, your team will feel it. You'll bring a different energy to meetings. You'll hold space when things get reactive, and people will start to respond differently. Not because you told them to, but because you modeled something better. That's how culture changes. That's how resistance dissolves. And that's how quality becomes something you live, not just something you test. Thank you for being here and for being open to a different kind of conversation around quality. You don't need to push harder to lead change. You just need the tools to shift gently, intentionally, and that shift starts with you. I hope PQ gives you a new way to move forward, even when things feel stuck. Thanks again, and take care.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that was pretty much needed because that was like a completely different approach just about oneself. And I think that's sometimes very much needed to focus on approaches like that. So I really like that.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you for closing with such a I think beautiful topic to be just more to be more sensitive about those topics and to be more mindful in the end and to react differently. I think that was a very beautiful ending of this conference. I mean, there's other talks going on still, but I think, in this track, that was a very beautiful ending. So let's see if there is some questions. Okay, there's the first question. Is positive intelligence only useful in soft skill contexts?
Well, thank you for the question. My answer is not at all. PQ sharpens your thinking under pressure, which directly impacts hard skill performance, better focus, fewer reactive mistakes, clearer communication. In QA, that means spotting risk without falling into hypervigilance and advocating for quality without triggering resistance. It's a mental upgrade, not a soft add-on, and can be used by anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. That's I'm sure it's helpful in so many other life areas as well. So I will definitely try some of those approaches. Let's see, do we have another question? Can PQ be used in the team or is it just for individual growth?
Thank you for the question. This is a really good question. PQ starts individually, but impact multiplies in the team. When even a few people shift from saboteur to sage, the dynamic changes in the team. There's less blame, more ownership, and over time it becomes cultural. Meetings run smoother, feedback lands better, and change becomes less threatening. So PQ can be used in a team.
Yeah, I totally believe that. If everybody is happier, then I'm sure that the whole team is impacted by that. Okay, let's see. Do we have more questions? What if I recognize saboteurs in my team, but I'm not in a leadership position?
Oh, great question. Thank you. Well, you don't need to have a title to lead with presence. When you shift how you respond with curiosity instead of control, with empathy instead of urgency, others notice. You definitely set a new tone, and over time, that tone influences the whole team. Real change doesn't always start from the top. It starts with one person showing up differently.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. It seems like there are no more comments or questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, maybe this is a shorter one, but I think everything was said. So thank you very much, as I said, for this beautiful ending of the conference. I really enjoyed that, and I think there were like a lot of helpful insights in there where we like things that we can just all try in our day-to-day life to, in the end, just improve our mental stability in those
Yeah,
very difficult times and like fast-paced times.
yeah. Please don't hesitate to contact me. There are much more tools like this that can be used, and I'd be happy to share them with you.
I think your LinkedIn profile might also be linked on the website. So whoever wants to contact Ecaterina afterwards, just do that.
Sure.
And then, of course, the obligatory comment. As you know, there is the vote for the best speaker and the best presentation. So please vote for Ecaterina and her presentation. You will find the link to the voting in the comments now. And this is the end of this track. So thank you very, very much to end with this beautiful topic. And thank everybody for watching and following the event. Yeah, I think it was a great event, and I hope we will all see you next year.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Software testers. Move beyond theory and master testing with the AI-powered ISTQB add-on Practical Tester by A4Q program. The ISTQB add-on Practical Tester by A4Q equips you with the theoretical skills and practical competence to truly excel. Learn how to apply black box testing like a pro. Estimate accurately, write flawless defect reports, and catch issues early. The ISTQB add-on Practical Tester by A4Q complements your ISTQB certification by turning knowledge into powerful action. Visit our websites and find out more information.